Welcome everybody to the show. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. We are waiting on Dan. This is my fault. I didn't set Dan the link till about 3 minutes ago. So nor did I set the show up until about 3 minutes ago. And in fact, we are about talking since he's not here, we are going to talk smack about Dan. So he should be along at any moment now. So I guess I will fill everybody in on the Charles S. Roberts Award news in the meantime. That is, am I on the right speakers? Nope. That is that we had a board meeting on Sunday. We voted on the rules changes. The rules changes are through. We're going to announce the rules changes not long after we announce the winners, which should happen before the end of the year. So hopefully everybody will be pretty happy. I think this is pretty good. I think timetable wise, I think it all works. And as usual, you'll be able to read it as there'll be a press release, but you'll also be able to watch the awards presentation, which will have some special content on No Enemies here with Dan. And Dan is hard at work. In fact, right now he's probably working on that. That's the official story. So hopefully everybody is having a good night, and hopefully Mr. Dan the Dancing Man will be showing up any moment now. So hopefully everybody is good. We have a decent number of folks already, considering I just announced this like literally 4 minutes ago. I guess I'll comment on this. One of the things that we had to make a decision on, just because of the platform that we used for the final ballot, was whether we were going to limit people to one vote only, right? Which is obviously the intention. But the technical limitation on that means that in order to track that, you have to sign into Google. And I didn't necessarily want folks to have a Google account to vote. Now, most of us probably have one, but for those of us who don't, I didn't want to eliminate that person. So I emphasized after the first round of communications, please just vote once. But if you haven't voted, please vote. There were some duplicate ballots. Now, at least one of those was clearly in error, where somebody went in and submitted a blank ballot and then went back in like 10 minutes later and submitted their actual ballot. So, yeah, we are out the Moose video this evening because we're over here and I don't have the Moose video. I'm pretty sure I'll be a little irritated with Dan if that does not become a regular fixture of the show, in fact. So remember, hashtag the Moose is loose for those of us in the know. So we had a show last night on over here on Victory Games. Hopefully everybody enjoyed that as well. I felt like we got good feedback on it, so I'm happy to have covered that. And that's kind of like a channel direction thing, where rather than to try to limit rambling on the counterclipping show, I had kind of made a decision a couple of months ago to try and do more content like that. Kind of focused content, and as a consequence, we've kind of run a little long in a number of cases. But running 5 or 10 minutes long is not by itself a huge problem, as long as it doesn't run too long. You know what I'm saying? So the Moose is still not in. The Moose has left the building apparently. So I wonder what this Stream Elements bot thing is all about. I have no idea. So don't forget to vote for Grognard of the Year. That is over on Dan's channel. You just got to find the Grognard of the Year video and then put your vote in the comments. I voted for Mark Ruggiero. Lots of folks are voting for Fred Serval, I know. And I know that Fred has, I mentioned this last night as well. The San Diego HistCon team has announced the winner of their Summit Award. It's a singular award. This is the first time they're doing it. And Fred's game, Red Flag Over Paris, was the winner. Among what were the other ones? Atlantic Chase was one. Well, I'm not sure I remember what the other ones were. But Atlantic Chase was definitely one of them. Which Atlantic Chase is very good if you haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it by now, you're not going to see it until the reprint comes out, which is pretty much being fast tracked by GMT. But it's very good. It's pretty abstract, but it's abstracted in I think a way that's effective. And it has hands down, I think, the best presentation I've seen in a topical game like that for the last 10 years, probably at least. I think the only and I was, Dan, where are you? What are you doing? Sent you the link. Get in here. So the I forgot what I was going to say. There he is.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, I just sent it to you at 7:29. So
it's meandering Mike. Fuck. He said, Dan, Marty's live. Are you in? And I was like, okay, I'll join. And I'm like, fuck, it's Tuesday.
it is in fact Tuesday. So I guess we can talk about the most. I mean, I didn't like set out to. Honestly, I've been really busy for the last couple of days with work and like work and with other CSR stuff. So I didn't get this thing put together. I didn't even sit down to start getting this thing put together until like 7:26. I thought I had already set it up, and I had not. So Dan is a big butt is our topic this evening. So Jeff Beeler mentions the probably in reference to the graphic I put out earlier, which I haven't loaded in. Let me see if I can pull that up. Can I? Well,
By the way, thanks, Mike.
This is making this a bit of a pain in the ass.
What the hell, man? I'm blown away that I.
What is he saying?
Who?
Mike.
No, I'm just blown away that Mike. I just happened to go on Facebook for the hell of it.
Well, I didn't send you an email until 7:29, so that's, like I said, it's my fault. We were half-assed it here this evening at Command Central.
The moose is loose.
The moose is loose. You got to send me that video so that I can put it on my side of videos too.
You want me to play it now? I can't play it now. You got total control.
I do. That's true. So let me.
Artie likes total control.
Yeah, let me talk about this. This is a graphic I made that I put together, and I mean anybody could do this math if they wanted to from the announcement of the nominations. But I felt that a couple of interesting things here. One, you'll notice that of the 5 most nominated games, the one with the most nominations is Panzer's Last Stand, and Rome Inc. missed out just by a hair here. It had 3 nominations, and these 5 top most nominated games are in fact our 5 nominees for War Game of the Year. I found that very interesting. What do you think, Dan?
You said I don't know. I'm reading the comments and it's still feedback. Someone let me know if there's still feedback.
I'm not hearing it now.
No.
So yeah, that's the thing that happens. Dan needs to buy a set of headphones. So this looks really interesting, and I think it's got loads and loads of potential. Unfortunately, the timing is bad. I spent all the money on Labatt, and then I had to spend money for Christmas, and now I'm broke. So that is just the way it landed. So I am not going to land on the Kickstarter, but I absolutely intend to check that thing out later.
Artie, how many of these thingies did you do?
Did what? Oh, just this one.
Oh, I thought you were going to do a whole poop load.
Well, I might have, but.
Because I was going to put it up on my show,
Oh yeah, by all means, go ahead and do that. I'll come up with some more. That's fine.
Okay.
I just haven't yet because I said it to you earlier and asked, hey, you want more of these? And I didn't hear back. So
yeah, I wrote to you. I said, yep.
Oh, did I get
You're
that?
Not getting my emails. You're shunning me.
I may have deleted it because it was obviously spam. Yeah, I didn't get that email. Nope, didn't get that email. So,
really?
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh well.
So anyway, so what are you up to over there, Dan? You working hard on the awards presentation show?
Well, no, today I was at work. So yesterday I gave it a good shot, but I'm glad that when we had the information, I did a hell of a lot of work a couple of months back.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that's why I'm saying, hey, the date that you wanted, easy peasy. I've got maybe 3 categories to do in terms of videoing. Everything else is going to be voiceover and the extras that I got. Did you speak to
Joanne? Yes.
Yeah, you spoke to Joanne?
Yep.
She good about it?
Yep. Well, we're getting it taken care of. I'll have it for you Sunday night.
Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Okay.
Is that too late?
I mean, I work. I'm
Sunday night?
working till Monday, but no problem. Sunday night would be, we're talking, Hanukkah begins on Sunday night.
Okay. Do you observe Hanukkah?
Hey?
Do you observe Hanukkah?
No, but I just saw it on my calendar.
Okay. Is it a rabbinical calendar?
No, it's a pipe calendar.
So anyway, Mr. Blue Tweezers is in the house. It is God knows what o'clock over there in the UK where he is at. So thanks for stopping by.
Hey, there's my paisan from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, William Aaron's checking in. All kinds of folks here are stopping by. We're a little directionless tonight. We can always talk about hookers and blow, right? So
yeah, meandering Mike. Squirrel.
Well, I mean that's a normal show, right?
Yeah.
There's really nothing special going on with that.
I mean, we're gearing up the CSRs. Christmas is coming up. You know, we're a bit loopy. What can I tell you, man?
Oh, tell me about it. Late video editing. You and Mo are the two fellas that stay up super late doing video stuff. I can tell you that. Mo.
Not me.
Mo of Mo's Game Table.
Yeah, you said you and Mo. No, not me.
You meaning not you. I mean Blue Tweezers and Mo.
Oh, I see.
No, I mean I've been known to do it occasionally, but I ain't that organized.
Come on. After for me 8:30 after we finish the show, it's family time for me.
I understand.
We watch about an hour's worth of TV, an hour and a half. Then I go smoke my tobacco. This is wonderful. This is just God. It's helping. God, it's wonderful.
Andrew, if you are referring to the CSR show, it'll be released when it is released, but it will be before the end of the year. Dan knows the target date. I don't want to announce the target date if we don't make the target date. I think we will make the target date.
He doesn't have any faith in me.
I have absolute faith in you. I just want it to be a pleasant surprise when it comes out.
I know. That's why I'm not saying the date. And I'm just saying, have faith, my friend. It'll be out before that date. I have
complete confidence in reliability and sturdiness of Dan.
As long as I have the information. As long as I have the information, I'm good.
Well, that's why we wanted to give you as much of the information as we could up front, so it wasn't like you had, it's November 10th. Here's the info. Please have the video done by Saturday, right?
Yeah, no.
Actually, that's pretty much what we did.
Yeah, but
it's about when we had
November 10th.
That's about when we had the information, actually. But we didn't just give you a week to do it either. So Tony from Tony's Board Life is in the house. Thanks for stopping by, Tony. My paisan from Ohio, no less. So everything is doing good over here, except for our level of organization. This is a great question. I don't know that I'm particularly well equipped to give a solid answer on this. I can only give you sort of
but we do have our opinions.
Well, sure. Everybody can give us the layman's answer, right? But part of the Soviet Union had a large standing army, right? These were mostly professional soldiers and not conscripts, which turns out most of the current Russian military is, right? They were also using equipment that the Soviets maintained. And then the kleptocracy over there, because they gave the positions of responsibility to cronies, and all the extra tires and fuel and all that stuff got sold off on the black market to line somebody's pockets. So I do think this has resulted in a real valuation of Soviet strength back in the day, but I would be reluctant to draw too sweeping a conclusion from that. So
I have an opinion, and it's just my opinion.
Sure.
First of all, being Canadian, we always make fun at the same thing as Americans. We always make fun of the Americans, like the Americans make fun of the Canadians, because we're brothers. You know what I'm saying? And
it's like a family thing,
brother. But it ain't the Canadian. But anyways, and it's always. Because I've always been interested in everything warfare type thing, I've always thought, man, the Russians, I'm sure they got some heavy, like they put a lot of resources in the military, this and this and that. And we always hear that the Americans are putting a lot of resources. Well, blah, blah,
Well,
blah, blah, blah.
we spend way more money. I can tell you that.
You guys, and it, if the states would go in, they would wipe out Russia without question, like picking a nose. That's how advanced, and I don't know shit. That's how advanced the American military is, man. And I would say, I guess the second closest would be China. Russia doesn't even factor. Russia doesn't factor. All they have, in my opinion, from what I know, are old nukes.
Yeah, a lot of those. I mean, it doesn't take a high percentage of the nukes to be working to create a large problem, though, right?
No, I know.
So they got like 10,000 warheads or whatever it is. If even if 90% of them are busted, that 10% could create a lot of shit. So,
and it's funny.
This is absolutely true. We only make fun of Canadians because we are jealous of your maple syrup and better beer and bagged milk. I'm not sure I get the bagged milk thing, but I'm aware that that you buy milk in bags up there.
Our maple syrup is unchallenged,
and the maple syrup. I don't know So we when we were in Connecticut, we ate dinner one night at this fish place with a guy from Maine. And I don't want to tell you his name, but he's from Maine, and him and another guy that we were with got the lobster roll at this fish place. And the other guy was like, "Wow, this is like the greatest thing I've ever had." I was like, "Hey, how's the what do you think of it? You're from Maine." He's like, "It is acceptable." I believe that's an exact quote.
Of course, he's from Maine.
So right. So, well, yeah, Vermont, the Vermontians. What do you call somebody from Vermont? What is the demonym for somebody?
A stoner. Look,
I don't know anything about that.
Doug, why don't you relax there, have a drink, and come to your senses? Okay? For God's sake.
I mean, and you do have to admit the Canadians have maple syrup's pretty, even shitty. Well, I don't know about shitty. Shitty maple syrups probably didn't really have maple syrup in it. It's probably mostly high fructose corn syrup. But real maple syrup is pretty magical, regardless of even if it's maybe not the finest of grated maple syrup that you buy that you purchased on a roadside stand from a lumberjack in Ontario, right? So
no, but that might be good too.
Are we sure it's not Vermontese? Because I think it should be Vermontese or perhaps Vermontians.
Aren't they called buzzos?
I have no idea. I've never been to Vermont. I have no immediate plans to go to Vermont unless there's a gaming convention there, and I am not aware of it. There we go. It's the only soda I really drink ever at this point. Do the Canadians have that weird what do they call it? Back bacon, where it's basically pork loin?
It's nothing weird. Yeah, it's what do you call it? Cornmeal pork loin, but it's not a very Quebec thing. It's other than Quebec.
Oh yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. That like Canadian bacon thing that at least we sometimes hear is Canadian bacon. That I think is not really the same thing. It's definitely not the stuff I bought over the weekend.
No.
I can tell you that.
It's basically ham.
Yeah, pretty much. This is far beyond the scope of our ability to answer here, I think. I think there's a lot of reasons. Go play not Fire and Lake, but Distant Plain. That'll give you an idea of the challenges involved in setting up that kind of thing. I believe John Stanley is referring to the U.S. trained troops, not the U.S. troops. I think. I think that clearly didn't happen.
I was just talking technology-wise.
Well, okay, that's fine, but
that's all.
At least we're not buying, walkie-talkies off the shelf at a Walmart in Tehran either. So, there's that. I agree. I hate Diet Coke. I'll drink Diet Mountain Dew because, frankly, I drink it for the caffeine. It doesn't really taste that great, but neither does regular Mountain Dew. So,
drink beer.
I had a beer last night on the show. I felt like crap for 3 hours afterwards.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just not really. I don't really drink much beer.
It must be the carbs, man.
It could be. I mean, there's a lot of calories in that, but most of the calories in an alcoholic beverage come from the alcohol, not from not from the fluid, right? So
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So, what's everybody playing right now? I'm headed tomorrow night to our game of Last Blitzkrieg, which I'm enjoying a lot. I feel like I am progressing with that system a little more slowly than I would like to. Just Guard has just started to do some video with Ericor. And he's doing a great job. He was screwing up a lot less stuff than I did on the first try. I'll
And
tell you
you
that.
called him Just a Guard, eh?
Just Guard. You know who I'm talking about.
It's Juste a Garde.
No, he is from Seattle. That's almost Canada, right? So,
Skies
oh,
above Britain,
speaking of
man.
which, there's some names in the CS Roberts Awards presentation. I'm announcing officially right now that I'm glad it's Dan reading them off and not me. So I'm just saying.
I found another error in typography, so I fixed it.
It's all good. It's all good. Thunder in the Ozarks that's Blind Swords. It's very good. William Aarons, thank you so much. William believes that the Russian Red Army fought best in the defense from Nevsky. Well, okay. Through 1812 to World War II, less effective attacking. I think that's got some truth to it. Actually, that's kind of a. There were certainly Russians on the offensive during the Napoleonic period, and I'm talking really Russians fought defensively throughout that entire 1812 campaign to the point of retreating, which earned Kutuzov a lot of grief from Alexander. But that was a defensively fought campaign. A lot of the Russian attempts prior to that were attempts for them to go on the offensive also kind of fizzled out one way or another, including the offensive led by Suvorov in, I think, late 1896 or early 1897, something like that. No, I'm thinking of the wrong one.
Bloody hockey game.
This would be 1899. What's that?
Sounds like a hockey game.
What, all these Russian names?
Yeah.
Well, they're not Canadian names. The thing is, if you look at a Canadian hockey roster, you'll be confused as to who are the players and who is the pastry chef.
That's funny.
I'm just saying. Sometimes it's hard to tell. Carl Crater from the Wargame Bootcamp playing on to Richmond. Yeah, I guess it's getting pretty close. From what I am understanding that the little birds are telling me. So
I'm really excited about Skies Over Britain.
That's getting a lot of traction.
Man. I know, and I'm really excited about that. And I just when I was playing the Doolittle Raid, I just love the way Jeremy White programs his rule book. I don't know if it's him who does the rule book, but it's a thing of beauty, man.
I believe it is him that does the rule book. And don't forget that part of a rulebook approach in the Enemy Coast Ahead games is structural to the game, right? Where you've got kind of this the game is set up in such a way that you actually can start. It's kind of programmed instruction, right?
Yes.
But you actually start at the end, and as you work through the scenarios, it expands to cover more and more and more.
That's right.
Until in the campaign game, you're playing it all the way back to the beginning, where you're doing the planning of the mission and all that.
Yeah, the planning. Yeah.
It's really cool, and I was told at some point that there was another game in the works in that series, which I would be delighted to buy.
Well, hold on a second. He's got 2 out, eh?
There's 2, yeah, the Doolittle Raid and the Dambuster Raid.
And the Dambuster,
both of which are excellent.
Yes.
I think the Doolittle Raid's more. I think it resonates more with Americans topically, just because it was an American thing that happened, right? Where the Dambuster Raid, the last of the Dambusters, just passed away. By the way,
really,
the last of the guys that were on the planes just passed away at age like God knows what it was. And in like the last week or two, by the way.
The Doolittle Raid was it who's the cigar guy? LeMay. Was it LeMay?
You're probably thinking of LeMay, I suspect. The cigar guy is not particularly helpful, however.
Yeah, but it's got to be LeMay that he's in the Doolittle Raid. I don't know.
Well, he wasn't on the raid.
No, but was he the guy
But
who
strangely
planned it?
enough, Doolittle was. I forget who did the plan. I forget who gave the orders for that. I mean, those orders kind of came down from the top, right? The top, to kind of strike back at Japan, even if in a strictly symbolic way, which the raid really did very little in the way of actual damage. But it showed the Japanese that, hey, we can strike your home islands whenever
Yeah.
we want, even though we just sent like a small mission this time. The real price for the Doolittle raid was paid by the Chinese. I want to say the atrocities resulting from the pilots that had a ditch in mainland China and were assisted by the Chinese populace. The Japanese committed savage repercussions on the Chinese over the following several months. So,
yeah, Jesus Christ, were they repressed?
well, this was the American political impetus, though. Whether the Chinese had in fact successfully done it or not, I doubt was a thing that Americans knew one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
So, the one true Flem is here. Welcome back. Great to have you. Yes, I think you may have beat me to the comment, but yeah. Very good. Yeah. So Carl Crater is playing the Avalon Hill on to Richmond. That's one of I think, the best games in the series, and was, a late arrival, right? It was one of the last games Avalon Hill released as Avalon Hill, obviously before they sold everybody to Hasbro for a bale of hay and a box of bullshit. But it was one of the last things they released. And I'm reasonably confident that Grant Takes Command was in the works prior to that, because if you have it, it looks like an Avalon Hill game. It's in an Avalon Hill sized box. It looks exactly like it was done by Avalon Hill, except it says multi-man on the box.
I actually have 3 games that I'm looking at. I'm looking at Tarawa by Worthington, American Tank Ace.
Our good friends at the Players Aid, I believe, did some video on Tarawa.
Yeah, but I mean, the game is, you know what?
It's been out it came out in 2021, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's quite easy, the game. So I don't want to look at the Players Aid. They piss me off.
I completely sympathize.
They gotta be so nice. And
it's Charles S. Roberts Awards nominee too. The Worthington Terrier game. It's supposed to be pretty good, like I said.
Screw them.
There's like a mechanic there, and I don't know what this mechanic is called, where you have like this sort of staging, and there's no real maneuver. You're just kind of pressing forward. There's a name for that mechanic that I can't remember.
Yeah, it's called suicide.
So one of those, Carl, you're playing on it right now. So I didn't find it horrible. I thought so there's one map in the series that was not done by Charlie Kibler. It was done by Rick Barber in the kind of standard GCACW style, and it clearly doesn't look the same, right? And I want to say that was Grant Takes Command, but maybe I'm wrong, and it was on to Richmond.
Hey, there's
so, a lot of people buying into Lavatai right now, let me tell you.
Hey, Lock and Load Publishing is here.
What's that?
Lock and Load Publishing is here. You got to watch your mouth. I don't know who it is, David or the original Grognon.
Very excited about the new Glory and Empire, which I think there's just a few hours left on the Kickstarter for that.
But these guys are having wicked sales. Don't you want to make any money? For God's sakes.
Well, they're not. There's no wicked. I mean, the Kickstarter deal is not a bad. It's not a bad deal.
They're giving like 30 to 40% off.
Oh yeah, well, it's got to have a big fancy. It's fancy. Like I said, I'm gonna put a link in the chat to this. Actually, there we go. You'd think there'd be a giant ass share button on this Game Found page, and maybe there's a share button, but I can't find it. So I'm just putting the link in the chat. If you're interested in Tactical Napoleonic, same scale as Lavatai, but the system and the it looks to be more a little easier to deal with. Let me put it that way. And they are running a sale right now too on the regular catalog.
Really?
I'm
So
personally pretty excited about Glory and Empire, though. I really can't wait to see what Terry Doherty has done with that.
look what Stigler's saying. Stigler's saying that Glory and Empire might give Lavatai a bit of run for its money.
Well, I mean, remember, Lavatai is one of the oldest game systems in the whole hobby, right? 1975.
And
So
how does Lock and Load come off doing something like this that's going to actually challenge Lavatai?
I'm guessing I'll let David speak for himself, assuming that's David on the other end here. I'll let them speak for themselves, but I doubt that was the impetus on that. I think there's reasons. For one thing, there's reasons why people stay away from Lavatai. There's same reasons I've given you for years about why I don't play that game, because of the confusing from the outside. It looks like a very confusing rules landscape. There's handling challenges associated with the game. For example, there's vital information that you need to actually resolve things on the backs of the counters rather than on the fronts of the counters. Now, there's like a lot of numbers, so I can understand why they didn't put them on the fronts of the counters, especially since they've kind of stuck with the same general counter format for like decades now. But that's kind of a disincentive for a lot of folks to get into Lavatai. Not to mention that you think about tactical Napoleonics. That sounds cool. What do I get? Which rule system of the four currently supported rule systems do you go for? And then, or do you go for the rules that came in the box, which are a completely different thing that never received any additional support, and they were changed in the next game anyway, right? So, that puts up a barrier that a lot of folks, including myself, I just didn't want to deal with it. But as I've become more and more and more interested in Napoleonics, I decided I really needed to give Labatt a little bit of a try. So naturally, I bought 6 Labatt games to just give it a little bit of a try.
It's funny. I'm wondering, and I have to ask David this on a phone call or something. Like, I don't see Lock and Load as a Napoleonics thing, and now he's doing a Napoleonics thing, and he's doing it well.
Well, look, it looks good. I mean, I'm gonna save doing it well for after I see the finished product, of course. But it sure looks promising, right? I mean, if Terry can deliver a Lavatai level experience with more streamlined rules and better counter handling, boy, that's going to be quite an achievement, in my opinion, right? So,
I'm curious to know who's bloody. I swear to
Trevor
God,
Justice
I swear
here
to God. If I'd kick you right in the nuts if I see you one day. But anyways,
well, the shins anyway.
Well, how tall is the guy? The guy, he looks like he's 5'2". You know what I mean?
Trevor? No, I think Trevor's like 7'1" or something like that.
Get out of here.
I'm not sure.
He's an animal.
I heard that through the grapevine. Ah, excellent. Yeah, I got the new Napoleonic. Do I have a picture of those? Maybe not. You could click on the merch store link. I'd have to log into the merch store to get to it, and I'm not going to do that. But you can click on the merch store link to see the new Napoleonic shirts that we have in the Ardwulf Lair merch store. I am very, very pleased with them.
David, I'd wear the nappy shirt. Look what I'm wearing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that is a nappy shirt. Nappy, not nanny. Natty. That's a natty shirt. Were you like out hunting for squirrels or something
no,
before
I went
the show?
to work
or what?
like this. This is how I went to work.
Okay, well, at least you don't have to wear a tie. I mean, that's
No, I don't have to wear a tie.
that could be worse. I hate wearing a tie.
Fortunately,
I don't work for somewhere where I'm required to wear a tie.
I hate wearing clothes.
Yeah, that was more information than I required.
Yeah, it was Pantless Tuesday.
There you go.
But yeah, I'd like to know who the developing team is in Lock and Load's Nappy games, because
well, I think this is the first Napoleonic game that they've done. Am I right about that? Somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about that. But this is certainly the first one that I can think of.
Well, he's got one guy on his developing team with the best name in the world, Blackwell Herd.
Blackwell Herd. That is a pretty. I think we can all agree that is in fact a pretty fantastic.
That's a wicked name.
one of the reasons that drew me to the library of Napoleonic battles was exactly what Stigler points out here, right? So, admittedly, some of these games cost $500 if you have to go buy them on the secondary market, but not all of them do. One of the attractions of Lavatai and of the Library of Napoleonic battles is there's a lot of coverage, right? There's a lot of battles you can simulate. Admittedly, some of those battles in Library of Napoleonic battles they feel kind of out of scale, kind of tiny, like La Coruña feels kind of tiny, for example. But and in fact, a bunch of the Peninsular Wars stuff does, but not all of it. There's some fairly big battles in the Peninsular War as well. Where Lavatai just puts out one game per box, basically, with multiple scenarios. But then you have a million Lavatai games. There's like 40 or 50 battles that have been covered by actual published releases. And you can go to either Clash of Arms' site or Martial Enterprises' site and find additional print and play Lavatai games, right? And part of the thing is somebody asked me this question. It's like, hey, you just bought 5 Labatt games. What if you hate it? And I told him, and I was completely serious. Well, I'll just pick a different set of rules then. If I don't like the one, another one will be totally different. No problem. I got all this choice, right? All I got to do, fundamentally, is find somebody that'll play it. And I'm aware of people playing Marie Louise and Regs and the Premier, and there's a couple people trying their hand at 5th edition, which is like the current version that comes in the box if you buy the last few games. So
I'm wondering if David is going to start like a series like he did with his tactical series.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, it is a big time hope that Empire and Glory is successful and that we get an annual volume every year with 2 more battles in it. I'd be delighted were that to prove to be the case.
Now, these David?
Are the 2 in the first box are relatively small battles set during the Peninsular War, and frankly, they're battles I'm not particularly familiar with. So you're looking at a rather larger project to do a big battle. Like, and remember, some of these Napoleonic battles are really, really big. Leipzig was bigger than any battle that occurred in Europe until World War I, for example. So you've got, I don't know, 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 troops on the field at Leipzig. So that's a lot, and it's spread out over a quite large area too. So doing that, there is a Lavatai Leipzig game. Baffles the mind to think how big that thing is. But I'd love to see some of the big battles handled, right? Holistically, not in pieces parts. Like, not say, oh, here's the Hougoumont gate box, and here's the Plancenois box, and I don't break it up like that. Give me the whole thing. So I basically just got tired of scratching my face. So it did
come on.
Dandruff. Beard dandruff is gross.
My electric shaver broke, so now I got to shave in the shower. And since I shower once every 7 days, this is what it is.
There you go. So my advice, if you're interested in Lavatai, is I think this is running until December 24th. If you order something like, I think you'll go to the Against the Odds webpage, and there's a thing on it. They've got a special sale. They found enough copies of the counter sheet and maps and some of the player aids to mail out a bunch of copies. So if you buy like $95 worth of stuff, they'll give you Lavatai de Vauchamp for free with the map, the counters, and a couple of the player aids, and then everything else is on a CD. And at a glance, right, because I just finished punching and clipping it not too long ago, it's a really good introduction to Lavatai. It's the premier rules, pretty much. It does leave a few things out, but not that much. But it's a really well-written rule book. So I'm very impressed with it. And it's not that big, right? And even that has scenarios, right? There's some scenarios that are smaller in Vauchamp.
Why did Trevor change his name? West Coast
just so he could have a YouTube channel like us superstars.
Yeah, I give you here, Trevor. You know this was for you, huh?
So what scale is the Incredible Courage system at? Is it a company scale Napoleonics? Because I believe that's correct. And I'll wait until that's confirmed or denied that I give you my next piece of comment on Incredible Courage Austerlitz. I have a certain amount of respect for what Grognard Simulations is doing, right? They're one of the true boutique publishers in the hobby, and there's because of that, their stuff is super expensive. Marshall Enterprises is another one for that matter, and that's why their stuff is so expensive. But they're doing a lot of quite interesting stuff. I just don't have a lot of faith in a company scale Napoleonic system that covers the whole battle, right? Certainly Ougamont would be actually something where you could maybe have a company scale game on that, and I think it would be meaningful. But the relevant unit scale for tactical Napoleonics is battalions. But squares were formed by battalions and sometimes divisions, but the square, the unit that does the interesting tactical things is the battalion, not the company. So yes, not only is it company scale Napoleonics, but he's doing Austerlitz, which is, one of the most famous battles of the period, and it's a quite large battle as well. So
now, what's the numbers in a company?
So a squad is about think of it this way. This is easy. This varies by nation, right? The Russian rifle squads were bigger, for example, but think of it this way. There's 10 guys in a squad. There's 3 squads in a platoon. There's 3 platoons in a company. There's 3 companies in a battalion.
Yeah,
There's 3 battalions in a regiment.
He wouldn't go anywhere with a company.
Who?
Meaning that he would have a bigger chunk of people going in.
Who?
Napoleon.
Well, yeah.
That's what. Yeah, I agree with you.
There's a lot of companies. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is pretty much my. Yeah, I mean the rule of thumb here, as just described, is about 90 or 100.
What's he gonna do with 100 guys? Get shellacked?
Led by, again, this varies from place to place and battle to battle and country to country, but usually led by the company is led by a lieutenant, so, or a captain. The platoon is led by a lieutenant. Latest on Ardwulf is 2020 late Q2 or early Q3 2024. That's the latest.
2024.
Yes.
I'm gonna be fucking dead.
Well, you got to work on that. You got to get healthy. You got to start eating more kale and arugula. And
kale. I eat enough kale. I shit myself every day.
So yeah, we are doing. It's not Artie Fest, but we are doing a big thing at the Buckeye Game Fest in Columbus, Ohio, April 24th through the 30th. This is at the Hyatt Regency. This is one of the big downtown hotels attached to the convention center. But we're just in the hotel, not in the convention center. The event itself is a 4-day board gaming convention that starts on Thursday, runs through Sunday like conventions normally do. But the War Room opens on Monday, so we can play from Monday clean through to Sunday if we want. And it's kind of looking like we are going to have at least 2 full tables of Lavatai there. We have a confirmation of 7 people, and the game that we have a confirmation on accommodates 6. So I've got some feelers out to try and get some more people to start getting a second, maybe even a 3rd table of Lavatai happening in Columbus in April. So yeah, I mean, you guys don't die up in Canada. You got socialized medicine and everything.
No, I know we don't die. We don't die here.
So, yeah, this is a good point that Doug's making. Is like I said, that rule of thumb is kind of a space that centers on World War II, right? And even then, in World War II, some of those numbers are significantly different. So, I mean, if you look at a lot of the German divisions, right, they would sometimes have two battalions, sometimes they would have, or two regiments, sometimes they would have 3 regiments. You never knew. Some of those things were put together ad hoc based on what was available at the time.
Hey, can you highlight William Moren's thing? What you trying to say there? That because I said 100 men he would get shellacked. It's like a skirmish in Napoleon times. Is that?
Well, there was more than one occasion where Napoleon went out ahead to survey the battlefield or something like that, and almost got shot by some random guy. That or captured by a random patrol or something. That was something that happened more than once. So I'm trying to understand William Aaron's comment or question here.
Say what?
So I think I think I'm understanding what he's getting at. So if you look at war games in kind of a very high level way, right? You're looking at war games and not the conflicts necessarily. Kind of the basic pieces that you're moving around. A lot of times do in fact represent infantry, cavalry, and artillery. And of course, a lot of war games have more detail than that. They'll have different kinds of infantry, different kinds of cavalry, different kinds of artillery. Napoleonic games in particular tend to have more than one kind of
Yeah, but
cavalry, for
we're
example.
not talking 100 men here.
Well, I mean, what I'm a little confused about why you're confused about being confused. So, because we're not saying that the whole battle is a company, right? We're saying Austerlitz is a battle that had, I don't know,
100 companies.
probably more than that. I would think. I forget the actual numbers, to be completely honest about it. But that's like it's like 150 or 200,000 men on that field, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
if it's 90 to a company or 100 to a company. Do the math. I mean, that's a lot of dudes,
Yeah,
right?
that's a
So
lot.
so
Yeah.
what we're saying is that game system tries to do the whole battle on a million maps with a million counters, each of which represents a company.
Yeah,
Now,
no.
if it's like the Death Ride series, then I think the basic unit is there's like a basic unit and then a breakdown level of unit, and so you got some flexibility there. And I'm not sure that whether the Incredible Courage system, which I have not looked at all, for the reasons heretofore specified, I don't know if it works that way. I don't feel like that makes much sense at
That's
that
too many
scale.
chits, man. Too much on the
Well, that's
table.
never stopped grognard simulations before.
Yeah.
I mean, Death Ride Kursk is Kursk at the platoon level.
Seriously.
Yeah. And it's in like, I don't know, there's like 12 boxes or something like that to get the whole thing. And there's people that like it.
I understand, but I mean, it's my drummer used to say that it's like fucking a fly, meaning it's so tiny, it's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, exactly.
No, man.
This is true. But you could pick some understanding up by playing the thing too, right? I mean, I don't think any serious person is recommending Lavatai to somebody who's never played a war game before. Let me put it that way. But on the other hand, if you think about other Napoleonic tactical options, right? None of them really are except for Glory and Empire that's coming, right? Are at that battalion scale. So it certainly helps. There's some actually very good videos on YouTube. Epic History TV has a whole video about Napoleonic infantry tactics, for example, which is very good and which I think will give you some context with which to view a tactical Napoleonic game, right?
William, I got you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I mean, this is true, but
No, I
at the
get it.
same time, you're abstracting it to a degree where I think that the amount of information content in the statement becomes a bit low. So there is some. Let me put it this way: there are battles in the Napoleonic period about which we actually know relatively little. We don't know which troops fought. I mean, we know which countries fought there. We know who won, but we don't really know a lot about the troop dispositions or what units were there or whatever. Now, those tend not to be the battles Napoleon personally was at, for obvious reasons. But it's not it's not like there's 100% clear documentation on this. So consequently, even bigger battles like Austerlitz, there is some margin of error in the numbers that people estimate. Because remember that ever and definitely at that time, you'd have a battalion or a brigade or whatever with a paper strength, and then the real strength was well under that, right? And then did the person that wrote the battle report have access to the real strength, or were they just going by what it said on the sheet of paper that said this division was assigned this many men? So
Artie, I've only played one Napoleonic game, I think. And if you can call it a Napoleonic game, was the DVG Napoleon, Field Commander Napoleon.
Oh, Field Commander Napoleon. That's great, by the way.
It actually is. It is.
So, I'm not sure how we got to W1815. That's that same unnamed mechanic that I don't understand because it's not a traditional wargame mechanic.
It's Trevor. He's crazy.
That Tarot 1943 uses, where you have like these sort of rows or whatever. I should actually look that up and see what BGG is calling that mechanic. Because W1815 uses that too. We're calling it the push your luck mechanic in on BGG, and I've heard that term before, but I'm not sure. I've never played one of those games, so I can't tell you what's the top rated push your luck game on Board Game Geek. Let's find out. A Feast for Odin.
Russian roulette.
I don't think that we're talking about the same thing here. And this is a game by Uwe Rosenberg from a bunch of different publishers. But I could tell you that I think that some of Herman Luttman's games use something similar, right? Doesn't that Pickett's Charge game in Magnificent Style use the push your luck mechanic? The chat will tell us if that's the case.
Yeah, don't ask me.
Turns in Lavatai are 20 minutes. I can tell you.
God, man.
Of course, this is true, and this has been pointed out. This is what's that?
Every time I'm on the show, I'm all pumped up to play a war game, and then my brother-in-law, my son-in-law, can't make it.
That's unfortunate. I'll tell you, we're gonna get you down to WBC or something.
Oh yeah.
And we'll make you play OCS for a whole day or something like that. You'll be a puddle on the floor by the time we're done with you.
God.
But I mean, Doug's point here is that this is a classic problem in wargame design, right? There's a level of omniscience and omnipotence that the player has that the commanders on the scene didn't necessarily have. So the challenge is then, with the tools you have, is replicating the command decision space of the historical situation, given that the player has access to more information and control than the historical commanders did, right? So one way to do that, frankly, is to run a refereed game and have a lot of hidden information. That's the classic response to that challenge is to just run it as a refereed game, right?
You know what's a good topic, and for me actually
refereed
to learn
games
is what?
Refereed games. It actually would be a good topic.
Well, I mean, okay, I was thinking actually scale, games and scale.
So our good friend Robert Carroll did a video on that that's nominated for Charles S. Roberts Awards this year. Let me.
He's my consigliere.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'll tell you, that guy's unkillable.
Well, he just bought Lavatai too, so him and everybody else just bought Lavatai. I mean, admittedly, against the odds, made it super easy for us. I had Beauchamp on my wish list for a couple of years. Yeah, and I had never heard of it because I really hadn't looked at the 75 different Lavatai games that are floating around. And I had only seen like the big ones that were done by, say, Clash of Arms and Marshall Enterprises. And at Compass Expo 3 or 4 years ago, whenever this was, I think it was the last Compass Expo before this last one. I think it was. I saw Lavatai de Beauchamp on a table, and I'm like, "Is this the Lavatai system?" And I looked it up on Board Game Geek, and I'm like, "Oh, holy cow, it is!" I didn't know anything about this.
How did you?
So I had it on my wish list, so I'm delighted that against the odds, I managed to find.
Artie, how did you say the Frenchman's name?
Who?
You just said a name. I don't want to say it. Starts with a V. Huh?
Beauchamp.
That's amazing. That's beautiful.
That's the name of the battle.
Oh, whatever.
So there's a place called Beauchamp in France.
Beauchamp, yeah,
where this happens. It's in the battle's in 1814. So it's a late period Napoleonic battle. It's the Napoleon at Bay period, if you will.
You could be an honorary Quebecer just the way you pronounce that.
That's the only reason I actually started doing the French on Duolingo, was to get a little bit better at the pronunciation. because I got no illusions about learning it at this point.
Yeah.
I took French in high school, but that was years ago, so we're not going to even talk about that.
Yeah, look, for an English-speaking person, French is very difficult.
Well, all the letters are silent, so
That's
I mean
why, and
that's
yet
a bit of a problem.
Italians and the Italians, it's the same thing. That's why we talk with our hands.
That's the result of the Second 100 Years' War, as they say, right? Because the French language was competing with the English language to see which one could have more confusing spelling and pronunciation. And I'm going to say that the English won on pronunciation and the French won on spelling. So,
Hey, Stigler, forget the Z at the end, or the Z, the way you Americans pronounce it. Forget the Z, the Z. It's not Vauchamp. Vauchamp. Z is silent.
Vauchamp. Yeah. I mean, I looked it up too. So there's that. So there's a game called Flight of the Eagle or March of the Eagles from Paradox that is basically very similar to EU3, Europa Universalis 3, except it's just like the Napoleonic part of it. And it's its own game. It's not like a port or something like that. But it's very similar to that. So if you like Europa Universalis, give that a shot. You can usually, when there's anything resembling a fart smell that smells like a sale on Steam, that thing's on sale. March of the Eagles. There's a couple other things from Matrix, including a computer version of Empires in Arms, which I actually picked up in the Matrix games sale a week or two ago. However, the truth is that since we moved, which was in August, you will recall, I have not so much as started a computer game of any kind.
Jesus Christ, man.
This is probably true. I think he's probably right.
Look, I'll tell you, French is a way prettier language than English. I don't give a shit what anybody says.
Oh, I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, come on, give me a break.
Everybody says that about their native language.
No, my native language is Italian, which is the best. You know,
I have two of these now, and I'll probably pick up the new. Oh, by the way, I guess I'll do news you can use here. The new version of Waterloo 1815 Fallen Eagles is out from Hexasim. People are flashing it on social media. But I checked GMT today and they don't have it yet. And I'm certainly not ordering it directly from Hexasim.
Yeah, Stigler. Yeah, no, you're right. Stigler, you're right. You're right. EAUX and what an O could just fit, yeah, phonetically. But then you have to be grammatically correct and the correct tense.
I don't recall whether French still has noun case. Does French still have noun case?
You have to explain to me what a noun case is.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Okay.
We won't be having that discussion tonight.
All right.
Latin has it, but a lot of the Romance languages got away from all those complexities of Latin.
So, noun case. That's yeah, it sounds like
now
a band.
We did like a little section on Italian pronunciation when I took my Renaissance Italy class. And consequently, I think my Italian pronunciation is okay. I've never taken or studied Italian in any way. So, I mean, I'm not, claiming it's great or anything.
Again, as an English speaker, any of the Latin languages are difficult, including Italian, Spanish, Romanian, and
German's
French.
Pretty difficult too, though, to be honest about it. German has a lot of things that went away 800 years ago in English, right? It's
Hold
still
on,
got all these cases.
What did you say? English is difficult?
German
English
is a little bit hard for English speakers too. English is a Germanic language. Difficult. Even though the sentence structure is very similar, if you take a German, like a regular German sentence, and not like I have a pencil, that kind of sentence. If you look at a regular German sentence and like translate the words individually in English, it will sound a lot like the King James Bible.
Look, English is so difficult, it's not even funny.
Oh, for
French is
non-English
easier.
speakers, English is absolutely a difficult language to learn. It
Oh
has
my
confusing
God.
spelling. It's got confusing pronunciation. It's highly idiomatic. At least American English is. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, and, you know, Americans will tell you that Japanese is really difficult. I had a physics
No,
guy
Japanese is easy.
that I
Japanese
went to
is
school
easy.
with that said Japanese was the hardest class he took the entire time.
No,
That's the
no.
guy that walked out there with a degree in physics.
No.
So
I took 3 years of Japanese. Come on, it's easy.
I don't have the impression that spoken Japanese is all that difficult, but man, the writing is
No,
another story.
you take the verb, you put it in the front.
Well,
Run, I will.
In German, you put it in the back sometimes, and then if you
I
don't, you
mean,
put a weird verb in the middle.
speak like Yoda of Star Wars. Smart you are.
I mean, German's like that, right? But that's, you know, again, that's what I mean when I say it sounds like the kind of like the King James Bible if you just translate all the words.
Oh no, English, man, to a Frenchman, English, you're speaking an alien language. It's like just the word up. The word up. Hey, look up. Hey, buddy, what's up? Hey, shut up.
Right. Exactly. There's whole YouTube channels on this, by the way.
You know?
Structurally, English is pretty Germanic, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's got vocabulary from all over the place, right? So, and that's part of the thing. There's a case that some folks have tried to make is that English is not even a real language; it's a Creole. That's accreted stuff from all the various people that invaded the British
That's
Isles
cool.
at one
I
point
like
or
that.
another.
I like that.
There's videos on that on YouTube too. I'm subscribed to several linguistics channels on my
Wow,
personal
that's good.
channel.
I like that. A Creole, eh? I like that. I tend to agree. Look, I know.
So this is a V2 is a word order description, and
I thought it
most
was a missile.
languages are like subject, object, verb, or subject, verb, object, or whatever they are, right? Some of them are more complicated than others. V2, I don't know that nearly all Germanic languages are V2 because there's really not many Germanic languages floating around anymore. Of course, there's German, there's Dutch, there's the Scandinavian language, there's a bunch of small languages like Faroese and stuff like that. Are the rest of those V2 as well? Because I don't know anything about that. So, but it is like a Germanic thing that modern German retains, and all V2 is telling you is where the verb goes in the sentence, which means in the case of German, it's usually last, but there are plenty of exceptions to that.
You know, A Great Day says that there's a lot of
Or it's usually second, but there's like
what?
The verb is usually second in the sentence in German, as I recall.
Did I cut you off?
No, it's all good.
Oh.
What were you saying? Because I cut you off.
I was saying that A Great Day is talking about a lot of French words in English. Yeah, you should see how many English words are in the French language today. Stop, shopping.
What the fuck?
It's disgusting. It's like, come on, can you just stay French, you dumb idiot?
Well, that's what the board or whatever that language advisory police are called in France.
Jesus Christ!
If you say an English word in a French sentence in English, they come beat you up with jackboots on, I believe.
I mean, like, on va faire du shopping.
So interestingly, a lot of the nautical terminology, things like, you know, port and starboard and all that stuff, a lot of that comes from Dutch that English uses. So
stop is a French word. I'm gonna check that out, Andrew.
It could be. There's a lot of French vocabulary in English. There's a lot of everything in English, right? English has a history of, hey, we're here and we speak this language, and then some other people invaded us, and now we had to learn a bunch of their words. And we all, after 80 years, we all arrived at this common understanding of what English was that's different from what it was 80 years before. And then some new people invade and bring a bunch more words. So there's like there's like things in English where there's like 3, sometimes 4 different regular English words for it, all with slightly different connotations. And one of them is actually coming from English, one of them is coming from French, one of them is coming from Latin, and one of them is coming from Old Norse. So,
you know,
all right,
West
folks.
Coast games just God, I forget his name now because he put West Coast Games.
Sure.
Dan is French computer male or female? You know what? That's a damn good question. I'm gonna say male. L'ordinateur, L apostrophe. So kiss my hiney.
This is not a guess question. French doesn't have a neuter gender, so it's got to be male or female,
Male
right?
or
He's
female.
asking
So I'm saying
the
it's male.
it's okay. Well, if it's male, it's male. That's fine. I don't know why,
computer.
but okay. All right, folks, we are out of time. Thank you for coming in and tuning into this completely aimless and drifting show all night. It is much appreciated. Check out Dan's show on Saturday early, like midnight Saturday morning.
Hopefully we're going to have some of Artie's more fun facts about the CSR.
The fun factoids. Yeah, I haven't come up with a second fun factoid yet. So as soon as I come up with one, I'll make a card and I'll send it to you. So. Oh, dear. All right. Before we get demonetized, everybody have a great night. We'll see you again soon. Dan's channel.